the new marketing for your small business podcast. Delivering the latest opportunities in marketing to help your small business grow and prosper in a digital world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new Marketing for Your Small Business podcast. My name is William Schultz with Vivid Concepts Media.
And I am Luke Porter with Moving Tree Media.
And we're glad that you guys have decided to join us today. We have a pretty cool episode. Something that we want to do is really bring as much value to small business marketing as possible. Whether you're a small business owner, whether you're in sales, whether you're marketing, whether you're a social media content creator for small businesses, just anything that has to do with small businesses, we want to bring some value to your business. And today's topic, we feel, does just that. Our topic today is, and this is a question I think a lot of people want to know, because I know a lot of business owners that I talk to, and I know that Luke have talked to, that say that Facebook ads don't work, and they don't work for them. So today's topic is, do Facebook ads really work for service-based businesses? And when we're talking about service-based businesses, we're talking about businesses that provide services to people, maybe like a chiropractor or a law firm or a mortgage broker or a real estate agent, somebody that wants to set appointments and provides services to another person. Today's episode is not talking about retail and e-commerce. We're strictly talking about service-based businesses today. So I know I have some experience with this in this realm, and I know Luke has some experience as well. So Luke, maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the experiences you have working with Facebook ads in service-based businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought a good example for this episode would be the work that I do with some law firms. So these are estate planning law firms. I've got 5 clients. And for those, if you don't know, estate planning is like your living will, your trust, what happens to all your money and property after you pass away. So it's not the kind of thing where, like, if a pipe bursts, you need a plumber right away. But you don't need an estate planning lawyer right away. So it's more about branding the work that I do for them, where when someone's ready to take that step, when they're ready to make that plan for what happens to their estates, who's the first person they're going to think of? I want it to be my client in their area. So when I am looking at Facebook ads, and I'd like to make a distinction here. It used to be that Facebook ads were a very separate animal from boosting a Facebook post. Those used to be so different. But over the last 2 years, Facebook has integrated those so much that there's only a few minor differences between the two. So a lot of the work that I do is boosting posts, but it still looks and feels and runs like a Facebook ad. So just as an example, I will put a value-added post out on Facebook on behalf of my client, something like, hey, what about all your digital accounts when you pass away? What about your Facebook login? What about your online banking? What happens to that stuff when you pass away? So just an educational post telling people what happens to that stuff. I've talked to my client in advance about who they want to target. So in the case of that post, it would probably be a wealthy individual in their area, over 45 years old with a family. So when I boost the post, I'm able to get down into the targeting to identify that type of consumer. And then I pick the objective for the post. Like, do I want my clients to get more phone calls? Do I want traffic to their website? Do I want more engagement? When you boost a Facebook post, you can pick what you want the algorithm to do. And it's going to show it to those people that match that. Like, some people are way more inclined to actually click and call a company right from a Facebook post. So the algorithm knows that. It's smart as hell. So it'll show the post to those kinds of people. So once I identified that, it goes live. I monitor the ad, the boosted post, to see how it's performing. Usually it's $10 a post is what I start with. And just for reference, that $10 gets about 400 super targeted views and usually about 20 engagements. And engagement is like a like or clicking a link or commenting, something like that. And then those posts that are performing really well, when I'm seeing numbers above those averages, then we'll throw more money at it because we know that that's something that the audience really cares about. So really, I think that's a good way to start the conversation. It's about branding. It's about giving value to your target audience making my clients seem like the expert in their field, which they are, making my clients memorable, and making my clients top of mind.
I have a quick question for you, just to follow up on something that you said. When you said throw more money at it, what do you mean by that?
If we have a successful post where we're seeing numbers far above average, instead of the $10, which we've already spent on that ad, we'll put another $30 into it where we know, okay, this one is really going to hit home with who we're trying to reach. Let's get a wider reach now that the algorithm knows who it's targeting. Now that the algorithm's had success, let's use those same targeting options and just get a wider reach out of it. Because basically, the more money you spend, the more people in that target audience you're going to hit.
And is that something that's predetermined with your client, or that the client should be thinking about? Is, okay, do you have a set amount per month, per week, per post? Maybe kind of lay out how that works, so a business owner or a marketing person that's hearing this can think about how you budget for something like this.
Yeah, so to frame how it works with these clients of mine, for these estate planning clients, I do 2 posts a week. And for each post, we spend $10 to boost it. That's all in my contract. And then we also in there is once a month to spend that additional $30. So that one winning post of the month gets that extra $30 boost. So on an average month, you'd be looking at about $110 in Facebook advertising fees.
That seems like a fair assessment, for your client, because they're coming in, there's transparency there. They're understanding what they're getting, why they're doing it. And I guess that probably removes the myth that Facebook ads don't work. So I guess my last question to you on this topic, or on this particular situation, is, do Facebook ads work for your client?
For all 5 of these estate planning clients, they have had new business come in because of these Facebook ads, where they're doing their due diligence and asking, hey, how'd you hear about us? Because sometimes, this, William, the digital marketing work we do, the ROI is sometimes hard to calculate. Like when we're doing stuff on 5 different social media platforms, where did the client actually come from? So if my clients are doing their due diligence and asking, they are definitely getting people who's like, yeah, I've been seeing your Facebook posts. I love what you guys are putting out. It's so helpful. And I'm ready to take the next step. So just one client, when I started working with them in 2020, I started working with them in March of 2020. And what they told me is that year, we checked in August, looked at the numbers. They had their best May ever, their best June ever, and their best July ever in the history of their company. So the stuff does work.
And that's during a pandemic too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So how about you? I know you do some service-based Facebook advertising work as well. What have you seen?
Yeah, so I can speak to, I got a client that I was working with in the mortgage business. And, there got to a point where the client said, hey, I love all the social media content we're posting, but I need leads. Things are slowing down in this business and I need leads. So what we did is we created the kind of Facebook ad that revolves around generating leads. And Facebook is, over the years, they've had to change up how they do ads, because they can no longer track a lot of your interest and a lot of things you do off of Facebook. They can't go into your website. There was something that used to be called a pixel, and they're still around, but it's a lot harder for them to see what's going on off of Facebook through a pixel. So what they did during this time is they created a lead form. And what's super, super dope about a lead form is once somebody clicks on a link on the ad, which typically can be learn more, sign up. There's a couple other different things that you can put for the tab. This lead form pops up. And what's cool about this lead form is that it already populates the name and the email address that the client has, or the user has on file at Facebook. So that really makes it a lot easier for the user, because we know users are lazy now. We don't want to fill out a bunch of information. We want as quick as possible. So this makes it a lot easier to get that information populated and get a lead. And the other thing is you can customize these forms. You can have these forms say, hey, I want to, you can ask a question like, how did you hear about us? Or, from a mortgage standpoint, what's your credit score? Or, what kind of home are you looking to buy? What kind of loan do you want? Things like that. So what we did was I knew that my client had a couple different loans that they were specializing in: new construction, first-time home buyers. It was first-time home buyers, new construction. There was a renovation, like if you wanted to renovate your home, and then there was another one that we did. I'm sorry that I can't remember. But what I did is in Facebook, you can have you can create different kind of creative for one ad. So what I did is I created two pieces of creative for each one. So basically, when we say creative, we're saying a different design. This one might have had a design and a different copy, so different written copy in the actual overall design. And we would do it on two different ones on, I think it was 4 different ads. And then we posted the ads out there. And I want to say that out of $150 spend on one of the ads, we got like 22 leads in a month. And I think over the course of 2.5 months, the client spent about $650. I want to maybe even say $700 over the course of like 2.5 months, I think. And we generated 77 leads overall. Now, the other thing that's significant about this is that I set up when a lead comes into Facebook, it doesn't email you, it doesn't notify you. It resides in something called the lead center, which is in your Facebook Meta Business Suite. But what I did is I found out that there's an app called Zapier, which is an automotive app that you can connect to Facebook. So as soon as that lead came in, it would create what's called a Zap, and that Zap would automate an email out to my client in real time. So my client could then follow up with that potential customer in real time. So think about it. I'm a client, a customer, potential customer. I click this lead form, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I could be receiving a call or an email from the actual person who's going to qualify that lead. So that's some powerful stuff, because you're getting leads at, basically, $10 a lead for a business that could generate, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 if you're able to close one of those.
That's awesome. I wish I would have known that, because a lot of the challenges that I have working with my clients is, they're small business owners. They're very busy. And the Meta Business, back end system that you mentioned there, it's not very user friendly. For as much work as Facebook's put into it, it's a pain in the butt to use. So those lead gen ads, they are effective, but I've had challenges where, like you said, those leads come in hot. These people want to be contacted pretty quickly. So if my client is not able to navigate that Facebook back end very well, that solution you found sounds amazing.
Yeah. And what's great about this, Luke, and I'm just scratching the surface on Zapier. What's really great about Zapier is that not only will it send you an email, you can automate it where it'll send that client, that person that just clicked on your thing, an email. You can set up Zapier with text, to do automated text messaging. So it could text that client if they had left their phone number. That also Zapier can sync up and automate to a CRM. So maybe like a MailChimp. So all the information that you're getting can be dispersed into an Excel spreadsheet, right? To a MailChimp. It can be, instantaneously grabbed and put into these other buckets that you can use as marketing tools. So it's I think Facebook, along with some other outside help, is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, for sure. And that the lead generation part of it, I mentioned the difference between ads and boosts. That's one of the things that just very, very recently got added into boosts, where that could just be a part of your normal company Facebook post. So it's cool that Facebook gave that option. One of the main differences with ads that is not available in boosts is to get that super fine targeting of a location down, where you can put a pin drop on a location and just have a 2-mile radius around it. That's the smallest circle that Facebook will let you go, is 2 miles. But one of my clients is a roofing company. And what they would have me do is every time there was a storm, they would send me exactly where the storm hit. And then I could put out an ad within half an hour with a pin drop of that 2-mile radius where the storm hit, and just target homeowners in that radius. So that's another option that's out there.
Yeah. And I had did something like that too. And I think that we had a lot of storms here this year, and I think it generated for this client, they didn't spend a ton of money, but for a couple $100, I think they generated like 8 leads over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks. And I think they closed on 2 of them. And 2 of those, 2 of those in a storm damage business, as you know, that's like, that could be anywhere from like a $15,000 to $30,000 job. That's not a lot of money you're spending to generate, $30,000 or $40,000 of potential revenue. So I think Facebook does work. I have a question for you as we head into this next, section we were talking about. When you've talked to business owners that have told you Facebook ads don't work, and you look under the hood and see what they might have been doing, what is it that's not working for people that you're seeing?
So the ads that I see that are not working are the people that are trying to just have you do business with them instantly without you knowing anything about them at all. Where if you have a business that is like a lawyer, you are not just going to see an ad that says, hey, I do estate planning services, come hire me. And someone's not going to trust that person with a $2 million to $10 million estate. That's just not going to happen. It's about building relationships and building that awareness. So a lot of times when I meet with a client for the first time, I'll do a little research before I actually go have that meeting with them. And Facebook has this transparency feature where you can go see the ads that any page has run in the past. So I'll go see what they've been running in the past, or whatever agency they were working with was running for them in the past. And that is the biggest mistake I see, is just trying to be salesy and pushy and not to be giving value.
And I agree with that. And I would say that, because also what I've been trying to talk to some people about is, well, if they see your ad and then go check you out on your Facebook page, and you don't have any other content that's been put out there in maybe months or years or ever, then they don't think you're a legitimate business. I would also say too that I see things that don't work because people aren't patient. Businesses aren't willing to, one thing I've learned about this Facebook ad stuff, because a lot of the early stuff I was doing with my mortgage person wasn't working. One thing I've learned is it's one big giant science experiment, and you have to find the right mix of creative, of audience, of content, of timing. I mean, there's a lot of different things I think that go into it. I would also say that I think it depends on what you want to get out of it. I think, when we were just talking about, you were boosting posts and you're getting engagement, I was talking about generating leads. Maybe you can talk about a little bit about, like, it's important to know what you actually want to get out of a Facebook ad to really determine if it was a success or not.
I mentioned before, I do those 2 posts a week. On a Tuesday post, I know that I've got the rest of the week where my client will be in the office. So you can customize. I mentioned before about getting like web traffic or phone calls or leads. On Tuesdays, a lot of my clients want me to have that phone call option where they have this great Facebook post that gives a lot of value, informs the person about a topic that's interesting. And then if they want to connect, there's that phone call button. So I run that ad for 4 days knowing my clients will be available by phone. When I post for them on Thursdays, I know that the weekend's coming up. So then I want web traffic. I want those people interested in my client services to go to the website and learn more about them. So the day of the week matters, the objective matters. If I have a client who's going to be running an online seminar, that's a Facebook event. So then it's a different type of advertising to get people to sign up for a Facebook event versus going to a website. So all that discussion needs to happen in advance on not just what you want to get out of it and who your target client is, but what your expectations are. Like how much business do you expect to get out of this over how much time? Usually I tell my clients, it's going to take 6 months of testing. Like you said, William, it's about the creative. With some of my clients, I have one client in Atlanta and their audience hates it when I have text or logos on the screen. We've tested this extensively. All of this great image, but if I put my client's logo on it, it gets way less engagement. But then I have a client in Montana who does the exact same kind of work, and it does better if they have the logo on the graphic. So same exact type of work, just different locations, changes something like that. So it takes that time period of making sure we're catering to not just who the audience is, but what they actually want to see and consume.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I think that talks about or that speaks to the point that something I like to talk about in some of my own personal content is that you as the creator, you don't get to control what people like. Oftentimes the thing that you think is great, the thing that you think is awesome, nobody likes it. Nobody engages with it. It doesn't reach people for some reason. The thing that you might have put the least amount of time in or the least amount of thought in, all of a sudden it's what's really rolling and it's really hitting, and I think that's an important thing is going back to that science experiment and that patience where you had said, hey, it could take 6 months for these ads to actually work. And we see something, or at least to keep pushing at it for 6 months to figure out what's going on. That's part of the game plan is to figure things out and be patient and be willing to fail. I think maybe the biggest misnomer about Facebook ads and maybe social media ads in general is you have to be willing to fail so you can learn from your failures, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a question for you about the targeting aspects. When you are actually doing the targeting for your clients, are you doing like a lookalike audience? Are you letting Facebook just letting the algorithm decide based on who already follows the page? Or are you going in and saying, no, I'm looking for, people in Edina who drink root beer?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, for my mortgage client, you're not able to do a lot of targeting because it's against law to discriminate against people based on certain things. So what you are able to do is target interest and target location. So for instance, my client, this particular client I was working with was licensed in Florida, and she really wanted to get more leads in the Florida area. So, and then we're also talking about we'll say this, like a first-time home buyer. So what I did is obviously I went into the Florida area where she's most comfortable, spends time in. And I started to put in things like, you can put in for like an interest, Redfin. So people that had searched Redfin, people that showed interest in Zillow, people that had looked for not FHA, you would put in like home loans, different kind of interest. I have also used the Facebook kind of like we're letting the algorithm pick the audience. What I'll say about that is that you have to be patient because it takes Facebook about a week or so to figure out who's really interested in your audience. And I would say that after that, about 2 or 3 weeks after that, you'll get some traction and then it tails off and you got to probably, start a new ad, create a new ad. And I think geographic location is really important when we're talking about service-based businesses. I think you hit the head on it. Like with the storm damage, it's probably like, a really good way to articulate that by saying, look, a storm hit here. This is where we want to market to. If I'm a law firm in Minneapolis, I don't want to run ads to all of Minnesota, because is somebody from, Brainerd, Minnesota going to come into my office and meet with me and sign documents? And maybe things have changed because of Zoom and these other capabilities. But technically, typically you're going to want to market to your area. So I do think your geographic location, especially when you're having a service-based business, is very important.
I would also add that Facebook, like you said, because they can't discriminate against certain things, you have to get a little creative with your targeting. Like the roofing company that I mentioned, in that 2-mile radius, you can't specifically tell Facebook, I want to only target homeowners, because homeowners are the ones who need a new roof. So you have to be like, no, I want to target people who've shown interested in new home appliances or things that you wouldn't necessarily expect someone who's renting an apartment to be as interested in as a homeowner. Yeah. So you got to get creative with it.
Absolutely. I agree. So as we're wrapping things up here, as we're heading down the home stretch, I guess the final question we should ask: do Facebook ads really work? I think they really work if you know what you're doing them for. Like Luke said, if you're trying to send some web traffic, then you want to add for that. If you're trying to generate leads, you want to add for that. If you want to generate page visits and engagement on posts, you have to know what you want. And in that realm, I do think they work. What about you, Luke?
I think they absolutely work if you're doing it right. And one thing I tell people is think about what you do, or think about what your spouse does when they are browsing Facebook. What ads do you actually look at and click on, and which ones do you just scroll by because it's just another stupid ad taking up your feed? And the kind of ads that you're actually drawn to are probably the ones that aren't trying to push sales in your face. They're probably the kind that have not only been tailored specifically for you because they're doing a good job with their targeting, but the ad's actually interesting and something you'd want to see. So I think that's the other part of it also, is not just making the right objective and having the right audience, but then the right creative.
Awesome. Well, as we're wrapping things up, we like to kind of share projects that we're working on out there. So maybe Luke, why don't you share with the audience something that you've been working on, something that's fresh and new in your business?
Lately, I've been flying my drone all over the place for Park Construction Company. They're this big construction company out of Anoka, and they've got projects going on all around the cities and even North Dakota. I was in North Dakota last month, flying the drone around these huge, huge projects, especially up there. It's even bigger than what we have here in Minnesota, just massive projects where I'd have to go around different locations within the same project because it's miles and miles long. And I've been flying around their equipment. I've been editing video. I've been taking photos, and I love it.
That's fun. I saw one of your videos recently on LinkedIn. I was like, wow, man, what are they building? That's a big project, man. That was pretty cool. It looked like like when you were a kid and you played with Tonka trucks, it was like that was the grown-up version of playing with Tonka trucks.
Yeah, and I've started to get more of a feel for their equipment, where it's like at first when I started working with them, I was kind of hesitant to get too close to these certain enormous cranes and stuff because I didn't know what they were going to do. But now that I am more comfortable with it, I can get right alongside these huge trucks as they're driving along, right up in this crane as it's lifting up out of a huge hole in the ground. So the more time that I spend with them, I'm able to get more creative shots. And that's for the kind of work that we do. We love our creative stuff. So that's been a lot of fun. So how about you? What have you been working on lately?
I'm going to piggyback off something you said. You just inspired me because I recently took a trip to St. Louis and did some video and photography work for a corporation called Rainbow International, or it's called Rainbow Restoration. I got to work with their corporate franchise and work on a large commercial water loss. So basically in St. Louis, 60,000 square feet of apartments were flooded out because some sewer backup happened after a large heavy rainfall that they had out there. So they brought me in there to shoot kind of like stage and then some video and photography unstaged. We were there for 2.5 days doing video and photography. Massive project, like 12-hour shooting days. It was a lot. Like my body was sore afterwards, but it's really cool because it's the first time they've actually had somebody come in and shoot video and photography on an actual job site that they're going to be using for their national campaign. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, you showed me a preview of that, and it was the kind of footage that I haven't really seen before of people working in hazmat suits, like right there on a project. And it's not stock footage. It's not just happy corporate stuff. I mean, it's down in the dirt. It is dirty and real, and it was some really nice footage, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I felt the same way about yours. So hopefully one of these guys will hire both of us to get on one of these construction sites, because that would be fun to work together on something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I would just want to say that, hey, this is a great episode. I appreciate your time as always. It's hard for us to get together and do these, but I think we're going to keep hammering these out and bringing more value to the audience. If anybody wants to connect with me personally, you can reach out to @vividconceptsmedia.com. And Luke, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find the show?
Yeah, just Google Moving Tree Media. You'll be able to find me there, but my email is luke@movingtreemedia.com. Our show is new marketing for your small business. So if you go to Facebook and you put that in the search bar, you're not only going to find our page, you're going to find our group, our new marketing for your small business Facebook group. That's where we're going to be posting content, posting discussion items. And like William said, this is kind of a new direction for our show here, where we're going to tackle a topic like this every week, like this Facebook ad topic, stuff that small businesses can not only learn about, but put to use immediately after listening to this episode. That's kind of our direction going forward here.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for everybody for listening. And we can't wait to have you back for the next episode.
Thanks, guys.